For those of you who decided this evening to forego watching the debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, all I can say is excellent call. The very reason you guys chose to tune out is exactly what transpired. It was two old guys trading barbs, sticking to talking points with no new information. Very few of the actual questions that were asked were answered, and nobody came away from this having changed their mind. It was the most irrelevant debate in my lifetime. I can't think of a debate that had so little substance to it. So those of you who did anything else, you are that amount of time in your life ahead right now. There are two groups of people in this country now that are either on either side of this. They don't like the other group's old guy, but I will say this. I took something away from it. I understand now completely and thoroughly the despair, the despondence, and hopelessness the young people in this country must be feeling. If that's their choices and there's nobody else, I can understand why they don't see a future. I can understand why. I can remember back when Reagan won, beat Carter, came into office in 80, 84. I was a young teenager. Even with this guy being as old as he was then, the young people of the country at that time were excited, and they were motivated and inspired by Ronald Reagan. All of them. He was relevant. Now, we have one guy that literally would solve climate change by going out and yelling at a cloud, and the other guy who multiple times said, well, if I don't win, we might as well just start nuking the country because it's going to be the end of, everything we know to be good and true and right and pure if I don't win. Those were the two choices. And I don't know if that's what CNN intended, but that's what they got. Now, there was one question. There was one question, of course, that did not get answered that I kind of perked up on. And I was surprised that CNN even asked it. They asked because of the incredible cost of raising children, what would either of the candidates do to bring that down? They said the cost of raising two children is now equivalent every month to what their rent is. I think that's probably low, to be honest. And it dovetails with something I've talked about on this channel and caught a lot of crap for. Right now, dirty little secret, pardon the pun, all across country, there are women who are taking advantage of a new paradigm with the internet to do things they wouldn't normally have had to do a long time ago just to be able to afford groceries. And the CNN anchors, they didn't bring this particular part of it up, but the cost is putting a lot of people in a corner, having to literally just put food on the table. Sadly, though, the vast majority of the minds in North America are so degraded and decrepit from years of emotional abuse and manipulation by the media. Nobody really caught this, and nobody really paid attention to it. Because, once again, the battlefield of the mind is a ravaged place right now in the West. People not only don't know what to think, many can't even discern whether they are even thinking or not, or just caught up in their own emotions. Case in point, one of the biggest stories of the last 20 to 25 years, Agenda 21, depopulation plan of the United Nations, New World Order, all this stuff, is not what's going on. There are a lot of folks, wait a minute, hold on. What about this and what about that? And don't you think they want to reduce? Yes, they do want to reduce population. But as far as their agenda goes, it's something very different. What if I told you that this story about military-aged males at the border is tied in with a repopulation agenda. You see, there's folks out there, they're just going to let die out. They're in the long game on this. They don't have to go out and cull 1 billion people at a time. They can just let people get old and pass on. But who they replace them with, the repopulation agenda, that's the real key. And what if I told you right now, the Disney Channel is in collusion with the New World Order and the military to affect this? And I can show proof for it. Unfortunately, because of the ruling of the Supreme Court last couple of days, I can't talk about it here on YouTube. I can hint at it, and I can kind of nudge people in the right direction, but if you want a full and complete breakdown, this is a breaking news alert. Brand spanking new video over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel right now. It is for the folks who are at the $5 a month and up level. 99% of the videos that I do, hundreds of them, are for everybody over there at the $1 level. But this particular video is so controversial, 25 minutes long. It brings into light some information that I garnered in the military a long time ago, classified information that's no longer classified, but very, very hard to find. I share this and show the proof for not a depopulation agenda, but a repopulation agenda. They want a new type of human. If you'd like to join us over there, like I said, for the vast majority of videos, not the most recent one, it is $1 a month. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. And if you sign up at the $5 a month level, you do get a discount as well for signing up for an entire year. Makes a huge, huge difference in my life. And once again, you can sign up over there, look at all the videos, 90 days. 90 days, you can look at all the videos. What is it? The end of June, and in July, and August, and be Labor Day. Be looking at, only a couple months to the election, almost getting into fall, before your 90-day would expire, when you could still get your money back. No questions asked. Love to have you over there. And trust me, once again, I know this is a lot to put together. The New World Order depopulation agenda, military-aged males, the repopulation agenda, and the Disney Channel. All tied in together. Battlefield of the mind. Information, once classified, now not, garnered, down in Central America 30 years ago. Love to have you. Now, here's a hint. This is as close as I can get to telling you what their plans are. Russia, evil, terrible, horrible Russia. You can't even say what is it? The meal up in Canada that's mashed potatoes and French fries and gravy. Oh, poutine. That's right. They were gonna ban poutine. You can't buy Russian vodka anymore. Remember how bad Russia is? Evil, terrible, horrible Russia. Russia preparing to ban extremist, child-free ideology. The country needs tools to protect its traditional values, the Deputy Justice Minister said. I'm going to read this for you guys. And I want you to think about this, listen to what's said, and ask yourself, isn't this the country we should be living in? Shouldn't we be having these values? Russian lawmakers have prepared a draft bill that would ban child-free ideology, read LGBTQIAA plus whatever, P, pedophile, in the country. Deputy Justice Minister Vsevolod Volkolov has said, the active promotion of childlessness has become increasingly common over the past decade and is an extremist ideology that Russia should resist. Volkolov argued on Thursday in a speech at the St. Petersburg International Legal Forum, quote, we are now actively preparing bills to prevent the spread of child-free ideology, he said. One should not be able to promote ideas that, quote, nowadays girls, especially young ones, do not need to give birth. They can do without children. A legislative system should be created to counter such negative social trends in Russia and other countries that share the same traditional values. They argue these laws must be worked out and promoted, and they must become the tools to protect our values. This is the main task. You see, they want to encourage people to have children, to fight the declining birth rate that is collapsing economies and everything around the globe right now. Now think about that for just a minute. We just had a debate in this country where one of the questions was to the candidates, what would you do? What would you do to help Americans feed their children? Right now, it's so expensive, people are forgoing having children. Not because they have a specific sexual ideology, they just can't afford it. They just don't have the money for it. I mean, forget the fact that they have money for 24 guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition and to be able to invest in Bitcoin. Oh, and they have money for weed, that's for sure. And we set a record last year in this country for sports betting. We have money for that. And we have billions and billions and billions of dollars for OnlyFans in this country. But we don't have money to feed children or elderly people, for that matter. Can't take care of our elderly, can't feed kids. It's too expensive. Meanwhile, in evil, terrible, horrible Russia, apparently, that's not a problem. See, they don't have a problem feeding children. For them, they see a selfishness issue that they want to nip in the bud. This LGBTQ, IAAP, pedophile, all this ideology that says that you'll have a much happier, more productive and valuable life, I guess, if you don't have kids. Now, you see, the funny thing is there's a lot of people out there who had kids and had to sacrifice and raise them, and were definitely, during that time, a lot poorer financially for having done so. But they wouldn't change it for anything. Because if kids do one thing, they give you hope. They give you a reason to get up in the morning. And they give you a sense of joy that would combat this. I mean, this is easy to see right now what the solution is, and it wasn't solved on that stage. This repopulation agenda, it's all part of it. I wish I could go into it more here. But believe me, once I would disclose what the military knows, a long-term study that's been done clandestinely by a lot of different agencies, has come to one inescapable conclusion about who they need populating the planet. And it's something that when you hear it, it's going to make you emotional. You can't get caught up in those kind of problems. We are in a fight in this country for our very existence. That is one thing that Donald Trump got right. For sure. They mentioned global climate warming change, whatever, tides rise, whatever, being the, I think it was actually Biden that said, the one existential threat to humanity. He has no idea what the real existential threat is. The real existential threat right now to humanity is the birth rate. Because once it hits a certain level, there's going to be no recovering it, because there won't be enough people to hold up the infrastructure that is necessary to continue to grow. That was one thing that held a lot of populations back in Europe. And one thing the New World gave them the ability to do is have huge families and do whatever they need to do to support them. But there's a new agenda out there now. And as easy as it would be to say, yeah, they're just going to cull 1 billion people with chemtrails and all this crap, it's nowhere near that simple. It is far more complicated. Once again, love to have you Patreon. We can talk about it there. The video is already up. And believe me, we already have comments on it. And people are looking at it with their jaw open going, oh my God, that makes so much sense. How did we not see this? The reason you can't see it without the information is because of psychological operations. They don't want you to see it. And so they just have to keep you emotional. But the Russians have seen it. The Russians, say whatever you want about them, they are masters of psychological operations, meaning that they know one when they see one. And this extremist ideology of childlessness that is born of this LGBTQIAAP pedophile group, they know an enemy. They know an enemy when they see it. During an address to Federal Assembly in February, President Putin said that a large family with many children should become the norm, the philosophy of social life, the guideline of the entire strategy of the state. They want you to have kids and have a family and be happy. Because everything else is, well, it's just fleeting. Russia, family values champion of the planet right now. Russia is the family values champion of the planet right now, and I'll leave it there. Battlefield of the mind. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. Join us at Patreon. Love to have you. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Pray for each other. I'll pray for you. You pray for me. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.